we?
Yeah, right. Time now for a transfer update with Intuit QuickBooks.
Transfer window. Breaking news on TalkSport with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment with Intuit QuickBooks. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
Yeah, joining us now, TalkSport's transfer guru, Ben Jacobs. All right, Ben.
All right, Benny boy.
Evening, guys.
Hello, matey.
Ben, before we run through the transfer rumours and everything that's going on in the Champions League, I want to ask you about something that happened in Arne Slot's press conference earlier today. He was asked about his future at Anfield. Have a listen.
I can't help asking, but what do you think about the rumors about Xabi Alonso in Liverpool? Does they hurt you, and do you feel the rising pressure from your fans who are booing their team? And maybe you've talked to Xabi, maybe he called you, sorry.
Yeah, he called me. He called me and asked, what do you think about the team? Because I'm going to take over in 6 months. So can you tell me a little bit more? Or maybe earlier, maybe he takes over tomorrow. No. This is one of the most weirdest questions I've ever got. Yeah, what's there to say to your answer? I'm working here now for a little bit more than 1.5 years, and I really like my work over here. Won the league last season, struggle more in the league this season. That's also obvious. So yeah, what's there left to say? And the booze, that's also what you said. Now, maybe I heard a few, but it wasn't as if it was a lot. But I think it's also completely normal if you have a draw at home against Burnley, that no one is happy about that.
What a terrible question. That's an unbelievable question.
It's a horrible question. That.
Horrible. It's one of the worst questions.
Is that you, Ben?
I wasn't there, I promise.
Terrible. I mean, look, what can he say? You know, he knows the world's cameras are on him now. I felt he dealt with it pretty well, to be honest with you. But there's very little, Ben, he can actually say to back that question away, other than just do what he did.
I think he handled it brilliantly. And to be fair, during this difficult period for Liverpool, Slot has never shied away from doing the media. Xabi Alonso is a free agent. We know that within the industry, his reputation hasn't been that damaged by what's happened at Real Madrid. So he is expected to get a big job, but there's no guarantee it will be Liverpool. All we can really say is that Xabi Alonso went at Leverkusen, along with Arne Slot, were two of the leading candidates. They went for Slot. He won the Premier League. They aren't likely to defend that title now, given where they're at in the league table, but they can still go on a run in the Champions League. And what I like about Slot is that he's very calm when faced with a question like that. Liverpool have had some mitigating circumstances. It's not ultimately in Slot's control, the number of injuries that they've had. Big spend over the summer, takes some time to build chemistry. And of course, even if he wanted a Mark Gahey or another centre-back in January, Liverpool at the moment anyway are deciding to wait. So I think he answered that in the best possible way. And again, regarding Xabi Alonso and Liverpool, it's Slot and Liverpool, and for now, Slot retains the pretty firm, I'm told, backing of the hierarchy, and no doubt come the end of the season, there'll be a review based on where they're at, but all signs point to Liverpool sticking with their appointment rather than having their head turned by Xabi Alonso being available mid-season.
All right, look, we've got some news about Jack Grealish this evening. What can you tell us?
Yeah, real shame for Jack Grealish. We understand that he's sustained a suspected stress fracture in his foot, and that means that he's going to be out for a number of months. Now, he's going to be seen by a specialist, and then we'll know a little bit more. And if it is months, for example, Everton and Manchester City might have to determine what the best pathway is for his recovery. If Grealish had aspirations, and I think his form warranted at least a conversation of making the World Cup squad in the summer. He'll now have a prolonged spell on the sidelines. And really, it just saps a bit of momentum from a player that obviously was shunned out a little bit at Manchester City, didn't go to the Club World Cup, but has been brilliant for Everton so far this season. And he was able to soldier through their last game, an excellent win for Everton against his former club, Aston Villa. But then the pain had tests, stress fracture, And now, unfortunately, he faces a relatively lengthy spell on the sidelines, which is bad news for him, bad news for Everton. And let's see whether the Toffees decide to go into the market to bring in another wide player, or maybe more likely Dwight McNeil, who's been speculated with a move away, will probably end up having to stay at the football club.
Yeah, terrible news for him.
Gutted for him, yeah.
It's been a bad start to 2026 for Crystal Palace. Jean-Philippe Mateta, rumours that he may well be leaving Selhurst Park in this window maybe, or possibly this summer. What you heard?
Yeah, it's a strange one because Jean-Philippe Mateta first went to Crystal Palace and said he had no intent to sign a new deal. And some of that, I'm told, was financial as well. There was a gulf between Palace and Mateta in terms of the wage demands. Then Mateta made it clear that he would be exploring a move away, with Serie A being his preference. Originally last year, it looked like Milan might come in, and then more recently Juventus. But Juve can't find a formula that works and is agreeable to Crystal Palace. And as a consequence, they've backed off. And now Mateta's most concrete option is potentially Aston Villa. So Villa are concurrently seeing if they can get Tammy Abraham over the line. They've got player buy-in, but it's complicated because Besiktas have got an obligation to buy, and they consider Tammy Abraham their player. So Villa actually have to negotiate with Besiktas. And whilst they're determining whether those advanced talks are going to lead to some kind of solution, knowing Tammy Abraham wants to return to Aston Villa, where he played under Dean Smith in 2018-2019, there's also an exploration of Mateta, a long-standing Villa target. Now, Palace don't really want Mateta to go now. And as a consequence, after the Mark Gay departure, you might find they dig in a little bit, at least in terms of price. But it's one to watch because I sense Villa are either going to do Tammy Abraham or Jean-Philippe Mateta. And as a consequence, if they can't get that breakthrough with Besiktas, then the talks for Mateta might just advance in the coming days. If that doesn't come off because there's no Serie A option anymore, then I sense Mateta sees out the season a bit like Oliver Glasner and goes in the summer.
Okay, let's just finish with Chelsea. They're in talks with Rennes defender Jeremy Jacquet. What can you tell us about him? Yeah,
Jeremy Jacquet, who is at Rennes, and from Rennes' point of view, they neither want to sell now, and if that is to be changed, they would want a record club sale surpassing the 64 million euros that saw Jeremy Doku move to Manchester City. Chelsea's valuation is a little bit lower. Now, French-based sources say Chelsea might get a bit creative here, and they'd be prepared in some capacity, pre-agreement or loan maybe, to allow Jacquet to stay at Rennes until the end of the season in order to jump ahead of Bayern Munich, and some suggest Arsenal, and get this deal done now. But Rennes are not coming down in price, so Chelsea might have to get a little bit creative if they're to get this one over the line. Jacobo Ramon at Como is another option, but he only joined Cesc Fabregas' side over the summer. And I'm told that Real Madrid are already considering for the summer triggering a buyback clause. So that one's tough. And Marcus Senesi, similar kind of scenario to Mark Gahey, where Bournemouth could take a fee now or let him leave on a free transfer. But the only real difference is that Senesi and Bournemouth kind of have a gentleman's agreement that he won't go mid-season, and nor at this stage, because Chelsea are working on Jacquet as it stands, have Chelsea actually made any kind of approach to Bournemouth either. So it feels like they're going all in on Jeremy Jacquet, but it's difficult because Rennes are sticking to their asking price, and maybe the middle ground will be finding a way to do it in the summer and keeping him at Rennes until the end of the season.
Okay. Ben, you're a star, mate. Thank you.
Benny boy.
Thanks.
All right, that was Ben Jacobs. That was a look at the latest transfer news with Intuit QuickBooks. Up next, we've got Back Pages.